Senate actually to have an increment after the houses have actually passed the ceiling. Mr. Speaker, I remember over the years we used to increase the budget, but every time you will see that the governors throw us under the bus when it comes to allocation. I will support this particular bill, but with a very heavy heart as a senator for Isiolo County. Mr. Speaker, in this allocation, we have 400 million increase to Isiolo County. But it is really, really sad that we release the money and somebody sits at the county and says, I am not accountable to the Senate, or I'm not accountable to the senator for that county. The governor for Isiolo has been called before Health Committee yesterday with a summon, and he has actually refused to appear before the committee after issuing 2 summons. Where are we heading? Because we had those things 2013, 2014. But with time, the governors actually saw there is no need of us refusing to appear before Senate. Mr. Speaker, this is 21st century. As I'm talking here, we don't have a morgue in Isiolo County. And this requires only a cooling system. And that is what the governor was coming to actually explain. But he has refused. So I think, Mr. Speaker, as a House, we must have a solution to this. We cannot be lamenting forever. If I was given an opportunity today, I would have moved a motion to stop budget allocation or money allocated to Isiolo County. But I'll wait. Mr. Speaker, you can imagine where there is a deduction from a member of staff on NHIF. On loans, they are not remitted. Mr. Speaker, food to the patients in the hospital, pending bills are not paid. Ambulances, patients are told, can you fuel those ambulances? We don't have theaters within those 2 sub-counties of Isiolo we have. Mr.
Senator Mgatana.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this bill. Mr. Speaker, we have had a problem with release of funds to the counties. Mr. Speaker, every father, like yourself and myself, knows that the day your son or daughter goes out of the house and she or he is able to stand on his or her own feet and earn her own money and determine her own budget, that's the day we say the lady or the girl or the boy has become independent. Mr. Speaker, we have a treasury in Kenya that is only serving the purposes of the national government and nothing else. They don't listen when we make the necessary noise for counties to receive their monies on time. When we pass the schedules here, they don't listen. They don't do what we want. When we say money should follow the function, they don't do that. Mr. Speaker, I pray that this Senate will fight for the true independence of counties by fighting for a separate treasury that will ensure that when money is collected from the KRA, following the formula that is agreed, there is an automatic separation in terms of deposits, so that we create 2 separate consolidated funds. One goes to the national, the other one remains for the counties, so that we never again have delays. And Mr. Speaker, this is going to be a legacy for this House. If we are able to fight for financial independence of counties by having, even in the interim, a sub-registry, a sub-treasury that deals specifically with county, Mr. Speaker, we will be able to ensure proper and smooth flow of funds to the county. Mr. Speaker, I beg to support. Thank you.
Senator Kajwang. Yes, Senator.
My apologies, also speak on Kara. Thank you.
No, it's
additional
okay,
allocation.
Senator. You have nothing to add to this? Because this is Kara.
I have more on additional allocations, Mr. Speaker.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Good. So then I may call the mover to reply.
Next one. Tasema kwa the next one.
Thank you.
Proceed, Senator.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to thank all the members who have contributed to this bill, and the issues that I've raised are very important. For instance, timely release of the equitable share by the Exchequer. This cuts across all the counties. My own county, Mombasa, has not received any funds since March this year. And I agree with the proposal by Senator Ososi that whenever there is a delay, the CS should be summoned before this House and explain why there has been a delay. Honorable Speaker, some of the counties are squarely dependent on the equitable share because their own source revenues have not been developed to such an extent that they'll be self-sufficient. Number two, the issue of prudent use of resources. Honorable Speaker, in the last few months, there has been a debate on the issue of exorbitant legal fees that are facing our counties. Most of the monies that are supposed to go to development are being channeled to payment of legal fees, especially external advocates that are being hired to deal with those issues. Honorable Speaker, budget absorption also is a critical problem. We have seen in the last report by the Control of Budget, several counties, including Mombasa, has failed to absorb their funds in accordance with their procurement plans. Finally, Mr. Speaker, there has been overemphasis on issuance of bursaries at the expense of our ECD mandate and also the village polytechnic. Some counties don't even have a single village polytechnic, yet they spend millions on bursaries that are already catered for by the CDF. Finally, Mr. Speaker, pending bills have also not been paid, and I think there was a report by the Finance Committee on this critical subject. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 66.3, I request that the putting of the question on this motion be referred so as to allow debate on order number 10 in this order paper of this afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Indeed, the putting of the question is deferred. Clerk, proceed to call the order number 10.
Order number 10, the County Government's Additional Allocations Bill, Senate Bills number 19 of 2024, second reading.
The Chairperson, Standing Committee on Finance and Budget.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move for the SIGA, that is the County Government's Additional Allocation Bill 2024. And Mr. Speaker, allow me to start really by thanking all the committee members who have been very, very dedicated to their role and mandate as far as finance and budget is concerned. Additional allocation is very critical, is very key, And as you know, as per the PFM Act, all the timelines as per PFM Act are very key, Mr. Speaker. And that's why today we are here on a special sitting. Let me start by saying that the bill provides for transfer of both conditional and unconditional allocations from the national government share of revenue and from development partners, Mr. Speaker. Now, Mr. Speaker, it's good to note, and the House to note, that the total additional allocation amounts for financial year 2024-2025 amounts to 55.45 billion, Mr. Speaker. And some of these allocations include 8.2 billion that is on total allocation from the national government from the equitable share. We also have conditional allocation on the RMLF, which amounts to 10.5 billion. We also have unconditional allocation, that is the 20% on the minerals, amounting to 1 billion. And finally, the 35.6 billion, which is grants and loans from the development partners, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in this allocation condition of the SIGA, we have 4 schedules, and the first schedule is onto the allocations, especially when we pushed the Committee of Finance, we did push for the headquarters to be allocated their funds, the 5 key headquarters, starting with the county of Isiolo, the county of Tharaka Nithi, the county of Nyandarua, Lamu, and Tana River, Mr. Speaker, which totaled to 445 million. We also did the allocation for the KIPES for the 18 counties amounting to 4.5 billion, Mr. Speaker. The CHPs amounting to 3.234 billion, and transfer for the museum function, which amounted to the 30 million, Mr. Speaker. The second schedule, Mr. Speaker, has actually also outlined the issue of the road maintenance fuel levy, which amounts to the 10.5 billion. The third schedule, Mr. Speaker, as I've said, it's on the minerals. And the fourth schedule, Mr. Speaker, is more on the grants and the loans that the different partners. And most of these partners, Mr. Speaker, are ranging from the Danida grants, the Kenya Informal, this is KISIP, Emergency Locust, and the FLOCA monies, Mr. Speaker. And just to mention, on as far as FLOCA is concerned, it was in our notability during our discussions with the stakeholders, that is the National Treasury, as we noted that Nairobi County and Mombasa County have not been able to submit their conditional frameworks so as to be able to receive these funds. But the other counties have been able to adhere to the frameworks that are supposed to be adhered to as per the conditions of the development partners, and they have been able to receive their funds. Mr. Speaker, apart from the 400 billion that we've allocated under CARA, we have the 55.45 billion under SIGA. This gives us a total of 455 billion to the county governments. What I want to urge the different county governments is to focus not only on development, but also on the animal called the pending bills animal, Mr. Speaker. This has been there for the longest. Our people are suffering. We have given monies to the counties. Governors are not paying. They are playing politics. Governors, like the governor of Nairobi County, is much more focusing on local and international travel and like giving services and development to the people of this city. And that's why we need to change the chairmanship. Mr. Speaker, some of the observations that we were able to come across as the committee, we came across the issue of the proposed allocation for World Bank, which was supposed to be 10.6 billion, and it was revised to 10.4 billion, Mr. Speaker. Also, from the State Department of Agriculture, inclusion of the conditional grant from the government of Sweden for Kenya agricultural business development amounting to 733 million. For this grant, county governments are meant to receive 560.1. That is also what we noted. We also noted, Mr. Speaker, different amounts that have been allocated by the different partners as they have been still stipulated in the bill itself, whereby I'm sure members have been able to see the different amounts. I don't need to go to the different amounts that we were able to note as a committee, the different allocations that were adjusted, Mr. Speaker. Our recommendations as a committee, Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, the committee recommended that the Senate approves the bill with the following amendments. and I believe we'll be able to get to the amendments, that is amendment of the clause 4.2 of the bill to delete the phrase. Also the first schedule, we agreed the 78.2 million for the headquarters, Mr. Speaker, to be issued to the county of Nyandarua, because the other counties, I believe, they have been able to exhaust their share, Mr. Speaker. With those many and few remarks, Mr. Speaker, allow me to appreciate the office of this Professor Ndongo, CS Treasury, for their great input, CRA for their great input, the Housing and, Department, Mr. Speaker, and the different stakeholders that we were able to have. Mr. Speaker, also, we were able to give additional allocation to the different county assemblies. Over 15 county assemblies were able to be in a committee for the last 2 weeks, and we've been able also to make adjustment ceilings for the different county assemblies. With those many few remarks, I do beg Senior Dr. Boni Alwale to second.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second this bill for the enactment in this parliament to provide for additional allocation to the county governments for the year 2024. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
What is the point of order? Senate Majority Leader.